You're a designer wondering whether you should specialize deeper or broaden into strategy. This conversation is for you. Today, I'm talking to Saksham, who made the leap from service designer to a strategic design and foresight. And he's going to walk us through how he actually made that transition, what worked, what didn't, and how you can strategize your own path forward. Hi, I'm Janeza Niazi, author of Navigating Service Design. This year, I'm on a mission to dive deeper into the minds of strategists, designers, AI enthusiasts, and researchers who are pushing boundaries in the field of design and strategy. So, with that, I would like to welcome you, Saksham, and we're very excited to hear your journey today.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Janeza. I've been hearing all the conversations you've been having, so it's a true pleasure to be here now.
Thank you so much. I really want to uncover your journey because it's been such a beautiful journey that you're on. So I wanted to start from there. What is that career from service design into strategic foresight been like? What inspired you to make that transition? And how did these experiences in service design prepare you for this bigger journey you're on?
Definitely, yeah. I'd like to start even before that, right? So I have always been a service designer. I think that's what shaped a lot of my foundation in design, because in most cases professionals transition from either industrial design or product design. They practice for a while, and then slowly they broaden the scope into service design. Right after I graduated, I started working as a service designer, and that kind of accelerated a lot of things for me, right? So being in those strategy conversations from early on helped me get that broader picture. And once I established that well for myself, uh, I was kind of questioning and wondering and in great dilemma about where is this heading in terms of impact. Even with service design, no matter how broad it is, how wide it can go, horizontally it can sit in organizations, we are always talking about max 1 year, 2 year in the future, right? Most of the conversations about next quarter, next half of the year, right? Business roadmaps, everything is just about that. So again, because you're part of certain teams which are running after those goals, you also get pulled into achieving quarterly, half yearly, annual matrix, right? And I was questioning, why are we not talking about a 5 year plan or a 10 year plan already? Because as service designers, you get that benefit to explore such areas even in legacy organizations. But nobody did around me, and I couldn't find practitioners who are thinking that way. And that's what pulled me towards learning about foresight to begin with, and then see how it can help me as a service designer, or even if I were to practice strategy or foresight full time. So that was the origin. And when I started learning about it, I realized it's nothing but a change in mindset.
Okay.
It's not a technical skill set that you acquire, no new tools, nothing else. Just a shift in your mindset in how you see futures, and not one future on that roadmap document, right?
Yeah.
So how you see the plurality in the futures, what are the possibilities, and once you're open to that, then it becomes even more fun working as a service designer on those projects.
But there are such these designations, terminologies are so gray. Can you help us understand the difference of what a strategic foresight career field looks like, and what are the skills and what is the accountability of a service designer? Can you do a parallel comparison, or there is no parallel comparison? I'm not sure.
There is to some extent, right? uh, in design, everything is kind of messy when it comes to titles,
Yeah.
right? How I simplify it for myself is based on the intent of that job.
Hmm.
If you are a service designer, what is the intent? What is the purpose that you're working towards? If you're a product designer, what's the purpose you're working towards? Same goes for strategic foresight. In my understanding, the purpose of working as a strategic foresight professional is to open up possibilities of multiple futures.
Okay, what does that mean? What does
So it
multiple
would
features?
it would it would mean that we are trained to look at future as a linear element,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of us in our head have a plan to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly businesses, right? Personally, not so much, but businesses always have a plan and they believe that it will work that way, right? But once in a while, there are things like COVID or maybe a recession, or you throw in some political disruptions here and there, and then everything goes for a toss.
Got
So,
it.
strategic foresight allows you to factor in such disruptions, to factor in the plurality in the future. That it's not one direction that we are going in, it can be anything. And how do we then learn from it and
Okay.
implement it today? I think that's where the key difference is, because when it comes to talking about futures, it becomes theoretical really soon and real quick. Goes into that fantasy speculative side of things,
Yeah.
right? But how foresight differs from futures thinking is this, where you're saying I'm learning about multiple futures.
Mm-hmm.
So let's call them F1, F2, F3, right?
Okay.
From today on, there are five kinds of futures that I see, right? Based on the research, based on trend analysis, all the tools and methodologies that come with it, right?
Mhm.
So you now know those five futures.
Okay.
Now you start preparing for it from today, right?
Mhm.
And that is where foresight comes in, that is where strategy comes in. How, what can you change today so you're successful in those futures, right?
Interesting.
It's about making it real for today. It's not about predicting and a glass bubble predicting things, none of that,
Right.
but making it very much real with what we are doing today, how we are operating in our current scheme of things, and
Mhm.
what needs to change if we were to achieve those futures.
Interesting. So, just to make it contextual to the topic that we are also trying to uncover today. So, if as a service design professional, I reach out to a strategic foresight professional to plan my futures, my multiple futures.
Right.
What is the mindset with which you, or frameworks that you would use to help me think of what are the different things that I should be thinking about? What are the external factors, economy that I should be taking into consideration to plan my multiple futures?
Right. Very interesting. So let's begin with this. Like, if where you are today,
Mhm.
let's start understanding from there, right?
Oh,
What's happening around us today?
ask me
Is-
questions. We can do like a role
Sure,
play. It might just
sure,
help people to understand how a strategic professional think.
sure. Right. So today also there will be push and pull
Mhm.
uh, in every scenario, right? So
Right.
today also there's some push and pull. There are certain things that are helping you towards that goal. There
Mhm.
are certain things that are keeping you away from your goal,
Right.
right? So let's start mapping those for today.
Okay.
Same goes for the past, right?
Okay.
What is it that helped you achieve your goals in the past, and what kept you away from it?
Got it.
And now the same for the future.
Okay.
What are the things that you can see today, right? Maybe none of us can predict the future, but there are certain signals, right,
Mhm.
that are strong for the future. So you say, what is it that's pulling me towards a certain kind of future, and what
Mhm.
is keeping me away from it? So, for example, handwritten notes,
Mhm.
hand drawn journey maps are not a strong signal, right? I'm just taking simple examples to kind of convey the meaning. What we are going towards is uh, automated tools that map journeys from conversations, from workshops, from meetings,
Mhm.
and that manual effort of mapping is gone, right? So that's one signal. It's almost here, and we see that extrapolating even more in the future, right? So that those kind of signals, so you understand the push and pull, and then kind of synthesize what is of relevance today, right?
Got
There's a really good tool, which I think I should mention. This is part of the conversation. So it's called Futures Triangle,
Okay.
right? A Futures Triangle will tell you what is the push from the past,
Okay.
pull from the futures, and current scenarios, basically, right? So everything that is taking you towards a certain futures, and then from there you identify focus areas or issues of relevance or anything that matters to you,
Mhm.
right? When you culminate all of that, synthesize it, again very much similar skill set of making sense out of a broad scheme of things.
Mhm.
So once you see that, you will start seeing certain patterns in it,
Mhm.
and with those patterns you can start to make it actionable.
Interesting, but okay. So let's say that we did this exercise. I'm challenging your
Yeah,
framework and
sure,
thought
sure.
process. Okay, we've done this exercise. We've identified three different potential career paths or journeys I should be considering.
Sure.
How do I put a metric to three of these paths to understand or measure which path would lead me to, let's say, getting into a role where I'm maybe a CDO, let's say, in the next
Mm.
5 years, or I can be one of the directors or in the managerial role. How do I pick which path to choose? And because you're saying there are multiple potential futures that we could be
Definitely,
into,
definitely.
how do we go about that?
Oh, that's very interesting. So, of course, there's no established metrics to it, but
Yeah.
also there's also a personal, aspect to this decision making,
Okay.
right? So, I would, I'm just like trying to shape my thoughts around it, but I would take it in two parallel tracks. One, what skills are required for those roles. So let's say you've identified three tracks:
Hmm.
uh, chief design officer, chief transformation, or something related to technology.
Officer and a
Yeah,
CX.
yeah, right. So those three parts, and what skill sets are required for you to be there.
Hmm.
That's very much real, very tangible, very factual. You just go to
Yeah.
any job description and you'll know what is required to be in that position.
Hmm.
And then second track is your personal goals. What is it that you want out of your career,
Hmm.
right? What excites you, what motivates you, what keeps you up in doing what you're doing, right? And then tying it all back to the skill set that we bring. As service designers, we are systems thinkers, we understand complexity, we simplify it, we connect the dots, uh, we see experiences as they are in a bigger uh, scheme of things, right? So with all of that skill set from the past that we're carrying, where
Hmm.
we are today and where we need to be, these three tracks, let's try and match those up, and what leads where, right? So this skill set as is takes you to a CDO path very easily,
Hmm.
but maybe not a transformation or a technology officer. So for that path, you need to acquire three more points to your current skill set. For the third path, maybe five more, right? So that way you can identify and work towards it. Now, just to summarize this, right? Now think about this without the future's lens. So you don't know the possibilities of the career in a distant future.
Hmm.
You only know next year and maybe next 2 3 years.
Okay.
In that race, you learn about all the AI tools that are there. You learn about uh, every conversations that's happening in the west part of the world,
Hmm.
right? And then you'll try and catch up with that.
Got
And
it. So
after 3 years, there'll be another race. But once you have that long-term vision, then you have a solid concrete plan to work towards.
interesting. So I'm also almost imagining like a effort and relevance matrix where
Yeah.
if we're trying to first figure out how much of what is it a high effort, medium effort, low effort? And if we have to put in this effort, how much time would it take for us to reach that goal? And the relevance of that goal in the next 2, 3
Yeah,
years.
very true actually. Very true, and uh, very appropriate for this kind of exercise.
Hmm.
Right? Not just design careers, I would say anything, any career planning will have it, right? Especially when there's so much conversation about redundancy and automation and all of those things. Uh, how do you plan your career of future proof your career with this the matrix that you just mentioned, right? There's always effort involved and there's always relevance in the future involved.
Yeah. But so I'm also teaching in colleges and I'm interacting a lot with students, right? So I've been reflecting that when I was a student, I could plan for the next 5 years or 6 years. Future was 5 years.
Right.
Today, the definition of future, I feel like it's 1 year or 2 years. What is future for when you're planning for these things?
that's that's very cool actually, and it's a very well detailed concept when you study thinking or foresight or any of it, right? uh, it's about your relationship with time. It's
Okay.
very much personal, right? It affects business outcomes, it affects companies, it affects countries, everything.
Hmm.
But it's deeply rooted in your personal way of looking at things. What is your relationship with time? What is future to you, right? How do you see certain events panning out,
Hmm.
uh, right? That shapes the thinking. So if you're saying it's becoming short, it's two ways: one external and another internal. Internal, like I mentioned, your relationship with time. External, because everything is moving fast. So earlier, what the level of ambiguity there was for 5 years, now it's for 5 months maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So earlier when we were students, let's say, the level of ambiguity for 5 years was okay, these
Yeah.
technologies exist, these roles exist, these companies exist. Maybe 5 years later we don't know, but for 5 years we are sure this will go
Yeah.
on. Now we don't know for next month also who will come up with what and disrupt what.
Right.
So because everything is moving so fast, that's why the that span has come down to maybe a year or few months,
Mhm.
uh, with that level of ambiguity, complexity, uncertainty.
Mhm.
And that is when futures thinking becomes even more crucial,
Mm.
because it's now.
Yeah.
It's not about
Yeah.
later or in theory. It's now, and what you can do, what you can act on.
Because this is so you mentioned two key factors for future. One is your internal understanding of your relationship with time and the external relationship with external factor, which is the actual way the economy is moving, right? So when
Right.
you're working across different stakeholders, everyone has an internal definition of time and the external perception of time.
Right.
Somebody would come in saying, oh, AI is a bubble, it's going to break in the next 5 years. Somebody's going to come in saying that no, it's going to be so relevant, everyone's going to be switching in. How do you balance out the internal relationship with time with external across so many different people? How do you do that?
Right. So in reality, I'm yet to be in those difficult rooms,
Okay.
right, where there's so many people around with this. With a few, how I have approached is to surface those biases first.
Okay.
Let that come out, let that be out of the picture
Hmm.
to begin with.
Right.
Once all of those internal apprehensions, biases, whatever you want to call it, once those are out of the picture, then you take that group on a journey of thinking about futures. And then you expose them to that way of thinking in small steps,
Right.
right? It's I think futures thinking is very much internal. Nothing outside can push you to think a certain way. It's a lot more reflective than other domains that we practice.
Okay.
It comes from your understanding of the world
Mhm.
and what affects your decision making.
So this is much more grayer than a service design role, because at least with service design you can show more. I feel like it's more tangible than a strategic
Yes,
foresight
yes,
professional.
yeah, yeah, very much, very much.
So how do you, after a project is over, how do you get that satisfaction that yes, I've added value, or I've pushed that needle, or I've brought in a business? What is that KPI or KRA that gives you some constant tangible feedback that yes, I've been able to achieve what I wanted to achieve in this project?
Right. So, couple of things there, right? One is to get the buy-in. That itself is a big win.
Got it.
Where a set of people who were not convinced before that foresight can help and are now convinced that this is a great exercise, we should do this more often,
Mhm.
is a big win. Then next is how do we see business value, right? When it's 10 years into the future, there's no like you can't measure that. But like I mentioned, foresight is learning from the future and implementing now.
Mhm.
So learning is only half the job done. Now that you know five possibilities, what is it that you can do today that will help you? And then it gets tied into the regular business matrix that we are measuring CSAT, NPS, this, that, but towards a bigger vision or a goal, not just for business as usual.
Got it. Got it.
So it's the same set of matrix, it's the same measurables,
Got it.
but with a better clarity of the futures, yeah, vision, whatever we can call it.
It's interesting and seems like a very tough field as well, because it has a lot more soft skills involved rather than hard skills.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
you need to be very well read, know what's happening around the world, keep yourself updated with economic differences, countries. I'm sure it's such a global knowledge that you would need, and not just a project lens that you will have to take in order to achieve the kind of metric developments that you're trying to achieve.
definitely, definitely. It's like zooming out to another level altogether, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
in it's
scary.
very common for us to say we're zooming in, zooming out on journeys, on experiences, on uh, everything related to design.
Yeah,
But but imagine zooming out to political, economic, cultural, geographic, climate, everything, and then how things shape each other. So it's very exciting. You don't have to be an expert
okay.
uh, of everything, right? It's impossible to be an expert, but you just have to be open to challenging your own thoughts and opinions,
Yeah,
right? That's the beginning of practicing foresight. Once you do that, once you're open to diverse perspectives, then you're able to absorb a lot more, right? And that shows in that facilitation when you're in those rooms with where you need convincing and where you need to show value. It helps uh, when you're open to challenging certain narratives, when you're open to absorbing things that you don't agree with in principle also.
It's so fascinating, the world you're in, and I'm so excited for you. But today I want to ask you so many more questions, but today actually the questions that I'm going to be asking you is a bit special because they're not
Yeah.
coming from me. They're coming from Anushri Banerjee. So she's a practicing service designer. She has been working in Tata Elxsi for more than 5 years. She has her
Right.
master's in design from IIT Bombay, and now she's questioning what is next. So I want to put away my career journey. I want to focus more on hers. And
Sure.
unfortunately, she couldn't be a part of the conversation due to personal reasons, but she shared all her questions with me. So I want to ask you all these questions because I think it's very relevant for people who are in the mid career ladder. And it's a very confusing path that a lot of us are in. And since you have built that clarity for yourself, I think you're going to add a lot of value for so many of us. So we'll get
Let's.
started.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, awesome. So the first question she had was, and this is something that even I have been hearing a lot, is that what is the actual difference between a researcher, a service designer, product designer, and now a strategic foresight professional? And are companies even looking for pure roles, or is it expected to be a hybrid?
Right. Again, in theory, there can be many differences, but how I simplify it is with intent. What is the intent? If you cut all the fat around it, what is left in that role, right? Uh, so, the intent for a UX researcher is to understand behaviors, the softer aspects, intangible aspect of it, and present it in a way that others can consume or see things that were not available on the surface, and they did the research, so we can see a different view now, right? A change in perspective. That's the intent. That's where it ends. For a product designer, the intent is to create something,
Mhm,
right? For that, they need understanding, they need a lot more on this side of it so they can produce what they're expected to produce.
mhm,
So that's the purpose of the role. They will do that. For a service designer, it's to sit between such roles among many such products and journeys and look at journeys or experiences and not products.
mhm.
That's the intent. So you're looking at a series of products, a bigger portfolio, an ecosystem of things where there's lot more complexity than handling just one product, right? That's
Yeah.
the intent. So you work towards it. And same goes for foresight. You want to present possibilities of multiple futures, the plurality in it, and what you can do today about it. And that's the so if you go by intent, it's very clear, and it becomes very evident in terms of what you need to do next, right?
Right.
You can either keep growing in the same role and be an expert, uh, ultra knowledgeable professional in that of that domain, or you can uh, work horizontally and acquire a lot more skills and be a generalist. And then it's a classic conversation about being a specialist or a journalist. So uh, but the key difference is with the intent. That's how I simplify it for myself.
Does domains make a huge difference? Should we stick to a specific domain and be a domain expert as we grow in our career, or domain switching, does it add value? How do you look at domain switching as a strategy?
i I believe it works well both ways,
Okay.
right? It depends on how you want to navigate that in your personal pursuits, right? So, for example, let's say as a early career professional, if I keep switching domains and I get, but I still master my service design skill. The foundation is that you have to be excellent service designer. That is established. Now, with that, you keep switching domains, so you know a little bit of automobile, a little bit of insurance, banking, everything, IT,
Hmm.
and then you decide to be an expert in one, because you have a varied skill set and you have a strong foundation of service design. You'd be able to get there,
Got
right?
it.
And that's also a very lucrative career path. While the other one, where let's say you spend maybe initial years of your practice in one domain, for example, aviation, healthcare, education, wherever, right? But still you've mastered your service design skills and you have excellent command over it.
Hmm.
And now, because you have gathered that experience, and with that domain also, right, a lot of nuances will come. You can translate the same into others and be a consultant or keep switching. So as long as you're confident with what you bring to the table and how that will make a difference to a business or the organization, either ways is fine. Coming to the complexities of it in hiring and all is still a bit tricky, where hiring managers don't understand maybe your previous context, and they need to know whether you're the right fit for them.
Yeah.
So that can be worked on, right? And it's not their job also to understand everything that I've done. It's my responsibility to to share what value I bring.
Hmm.
So if I have been in education for 10 years and now I want to be in healthcare, it's my responsibility to translate all of that is relevant for healthcare,
Right.
right? Same the other way around. So in principle, it's great both ways, but you have to be smart enough in your next move to tie it all together, bring everything that you've done so far in a more meaningful way, right?
Yeah.
Rather than looking at it as a new start every time.
So you should look back, tie that red thread across your journeys and portfolios, and identify what your core skill is and what are you bringing to the table, and be able to pitch yourself. Because if you can't pitch yourself, you're not going to be able to get buy-ins for your own projects and the
Exactly, exactly. Very precisely that, right? So the fear around domain switching is that the next one will not understand what I've done.
yeah,
So make it simple enough for them to understand, no matter what you have done previously, right? Domain knowledge is good to keep running your service design practice.
hmm,
So if you are a service designer in banking, you're still solving complex problems, you're still connecting the dots between different departments who are working in silos, you're
hmm,
still doing stakeholder management, you're still looking at many experience layers, front lines, customers, backstage, all of that.
hmm,
Translate that into, for example, now you want to go into healthcare. Translate all of that so the healthcare hiring manager or whoever your team is going to be is able to see value that you bring.
yeah,
They're able to see how you work with complex systems, how you work with time critical things, right? Banking and finance is equally time critical as healthcare. So
yeah.
bring in those aspects, and the moment you show that thinking, that nuanced thinking from your previous one to the next one, it's great. I don't see any friction in that transition then.
Oh, that's very nice to hear, because I want to show Anushri's portfolio as well. She had requested to get your viewpoints on how she's designed her portfolio to position herself as a service designer. So let me share my
Yeah.
screen. You go. Okay, so this is Anushri. So she had specifically requested for her project, which is this.
Hmm.
Can you see my entire screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, this I'll let me know. Should I just scroll through it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it says storytelling through space, designing an immersive experience center for Air India's legacy and the future. Right. Okay.
She's defined her role. uh,
Mm-hmm.
defined how many. So this was a feedback that I had given her, because most portfolios people just put in their role, and it looks like you're the only person who's added value in the portfolio. So one of the advice I had provided her is that add in the rest of the team and a specific value that you have added.
Right.
Then she has put in the project brief, which is Air India wanted to create an experience center as part of their
Right.
Vihan AI program, inspiring
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders and employees by reaffirming the legacy and transformation of AI.
Right.
So this was the project stages that she has added. She's given a base discovery stage where this was the
Mm-hmm.
desk research that they have done, um, the stakeholder interviews that she has conducted. But I'm not sure, was this done all by her alone, or was this
Mm-hmm.
done in a team?
Right.
It's the affinity mapping.
Can you go back to the first activity? What was there?
This was,
Desk. Okay, desk research.
yeah,
Okay.
this is the discovery stage where they have done all the desk research. So she's
Right.
finished
Okay.
down
Got.
the three stages.
Okay, so it started with discovery, a couple of things around research, then ideation, co-creation workshop, and all of that, and then execution. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Interviews, and who are these stakeholders? If I can see.
So stakeholders are brand communication teams. There was a
Hmm.
Vihani strategy team, pilots, Air India, history enthusiasts, trainers, legacy employees.
Okay. Okay.
And she's added few quotes from some of.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then she's shown us the process of affinity mapping and
Hmm.
thematic analysis that she has conducted,
Hmm.
and the responses that this particular synthesis evoked for them.
Hmm. Okay. And defining the approach.
Yeah, so she synthesized the findings for the following approach: aligning design with core values.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what that means. Balancing present and future, divided the
Hmm.
space focus equally between focusing the legacy of the past and presenting the future.
Okay.
Okay, so
Right.
she's given a view of what that
Hmm.
space looks like, the user journey that looks like, and what
Hmm.
different touch points,
Hmm.
interactive touch points, content strategy, multimedia
Hmm.
and tech integrations. So, what are the different integrations that were a part of it? But she also mentioned that so when you're in such kind of like Tata Elxsi is a consultancy space, right? You keep switching between projects. So she
Right.
had also
Right.
mentioned that she was there in the first half of the project, but second half it was taken over by another
Okay.
team, and there are a lot
Understood.
of transitions that happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is what she has documented as a service
Yeah.
design project. What are your thoughts?
Right. The very first thing that stood out to me is that I still don't know who the user will be.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
The user journey comes much later in the process, and starting from it, it still looks like a top-down brief and a top-down execution for it, right? When we say we're designing for the users, human-centric, all of that,
Mhm.
it needs to start with who is it for, right?
Yeah.
What will what would it mean for a person to visit this space or to experience what Air India is trying to uh, convey, right? And when it starts there, maybe then I'm with you on the project journey, that okay, where we're talking about, and I understand it can be as generic as everyone,
Hmm.
but maybe refine that everyone a bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe people are excited about airlines or Air India as a brand, and they would want to visit, and that whole mindset that comes with being in the users or visitors shoe in this case to navigate through the whole thing. So that would be a one. And second is, it still feels more like a retail design exercise and not really service design, right?
Why is
a
it?
retail a retail experience designer would also do everything that is done here, and they'll build this space. But maybe with service design, a lot more ecosystem view will come in.
Okay.
Where is it? How does it fit in the bigger picture? The backstage side of it, the governance side of it, right? So everything that you see is still front stage.
Mhm.
How often the display will be changed, who will manage, how do you
Right.
ensure it's so, like, that whole layer is currently not visible.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Moment you open backstage, there's a lot that would go on, I'm sure,
Yeah.
with this. Also, a little more view into the stakeholders. So how do you engage with graphic professionals, with uh, interior, whoever was involved, right? What
Mhm.
is that view of every expert coming in and contributing and building? So that view is also missing.
Yeah.
What I really like is the clarity of thought in the presentation, right? That's very much clear. The intent is very clear, right? Where you are headed, what you want to build, all of that clarity is there. It's an excellent retail design project. If I were to evaluate this for retail, I would be very happy to see this. But
Interesting.
if I were to evaluate service design skills based on this, then there are few missing links or what I just mentioned. So I think
Yeah.
that's the difference.
I think what I've also been noticing, because I've been also looking at a lot of portfolios from mid-level designers to younger designers, that most of their projects feel like a case study. The messiness of that project is lacking, so it's very difficult to look at a shiny object and critique what exactly was the backstory in building that shiny object. So I have been trying to help younger designers to talk about the messiness, because that's where we get to see the real them and them in action rather than
Absolutely,
basic.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, how do you talk about that? Like, because most of the projects and portfolios look like a case study to me.
I think the best, what I would love to see, let's put
Hmm.
it that way. What I would love to see in a project is the confusion in the beginning, right? You're not clear,
Yeah.
you're still figuring out. So present that, right? What was going on in your mind when you got the brief,
Right.
right? Some initial thoughts, some ideas, some like maybe different approaches that, oh, we can do it this way, we can do it that way, right? There are a couple of things, those early discussions. Maybe present that, show that in a way that I understand, right? Not to further confuse me, but in a way that I understand. And then let's go through each decision making point. Also, it's a very checkbox exercise to just say, okay, I did all of this,
Yeah.
but how it contributed to the project, maybe
Ab-
that would help. So
Yeah.
if you say desk research and benchmarking,
Yeah.
what is it from this exercise that led you to the next one, or maybe that contributed to your understanding,
Hmm.
right? Maybe 2 3 points around it. That, so currently it says we explored everything that's there. Foundation, it gave us foundation of historical depth and brand context to be. So I would love to see what that historical depth and brand context was, right? The
Yeah.
takeaway from it. And then same goes for, we did the benchmarking and system department AR/VR projection. Yeah, like, so what's the takeaway? What do I learn from, what do I take away from it? Also a simple, rule of thumb that I have is asking so what.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and it's as simple as that. So, if
Yeah.
you're saying desk research, archival study, and I agree with everything and all the hard work put into it, but let's also answer so what?
Right. Right. I think we generally in portfolio capture what we do versus why did we do this? What were the shift in decisions we were able to influence? I think
Yeah.
those are the bits that as service designers we should be talking about, not the fact that we can do desk research. I'm sure at this stage in our journey, in our career, we can all do desk research, we can do synthesis. But I think where the skill sets become more mature is if you can influence through all these efforts, right?
And even like one simple line about why desk research.
Exactly.
Why did you pick a certain methodology over 100 others,
Yeah.
right? Why not experiential walkthroughs? Why not visit similar stores or similar spaces first,
Yeah.
right? So there are all of these things. So basically what we want to see is the thinking and not the
Doing.
output.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So,
it's mostly why did you pick certain methodologies? If you had skipped the desk research, how would that entire experience have looked like?
yes, yes, yes.
Right?
So that's where the so what comes in, because it was so crucial for your project. It has a tangible, clear takeaway in
Hmm.
your project journey that it cannot be skipped. So I did desk research because all of the reasons, and this is what I got out of it. This is how it helps me move forward in maybe shaping my interview questions. It gave me a better understanding of what to benchmark. Uh, what are the factors that lead to a good exhibit or a good retail experience, or
Yeah.
anything, basically any summary would help.
Yeah, because in today's world, this entire step is so easy with AI involved. We don't even, if we say we did desk research, we'll have to even showcase what is it that an AI couldn't do that we've done,
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
these,
Or I mean, it's perfectly fine to for AI to do everything, but what did you learn that you didn't know before that helped you in your project? So, in summary, we would want to see more of the thinking than the checkbox exercise of what activities or exercises one did in the project. That's understandable, right? And it's pretty much standard by now that you will be doing certain activities to achieve the project outcome. But what were the dilemmas? What were the decision points? What were the confusions? What helped and didn't help in that journey? I think when all of these points are surfaced, it brings in personality in the case study or the project, and then it also shows your strengths as a professional, where how you navigate the project, how you navigate complexity, how you work with others, stakeholder management. So a lot of those softer aspects also surface out when you put your thinking in the presentation.
yeah. So what happens if somebody is just starting out and they don't have a service design project? Like, let's say students. I
Hmm.
so when I'm teaching students, I give them real world scenarios so that they have something more tangible to showcase. But
Hmm.
if they do not have, it's difficult to get a service design project in your portfolio if you
Yeah,
haven't
sure,
worked on
sure.
one. What is your advice to people who are just starting out in this journey?
I think, I mean, the easiest way is to make fictional projects, right?
Okay.
So, and what would change with service design is the complexity. So, pick a complex service experience kind of area, right? Everything's complex basically in India. So, you pick whatever, right? And then start to make sense out of that ambiguity and solve for an experience, right? It need not turn into a mobile application or a desktop, something, or even a product, but just solve for a better experience. So maybe the experience is here today, and then with your project and input, it goes here. As simple as that, right? Few points, maybe as thumb rules to look after, is to look for multiple touch points, multiple stakeholders, a connected ecosystem of sorts, maybe, where there are different push and pulls from every side. So look for that problem area and then solve it using the skills or theories you have learned, right? Use personas, journey maps, blueprints, showcase your skills in that context, and that should help. That's one way of going about it, right? Where you have a fictional project. Another one is to do maybe a pro bono exercise with someone in the non government space or social impact space where there's so much scope to improve certain things. So actually pick a real life problem and solve it using your toolkit.